Good day. Today we are going to look at selection statements in programming. The selection statements helps us to make decisions. They help us to make decisions. Let's say we have a program and we want to decide, let's say we want to decide to pay someone a commission. Maybe the commission might be based on some sales values, to say that maybe someone sells 100,000. Then another one sells 200,000. These are just decision management can make to say that there's a commission for someone who make 1,000. Then someone who make 200,000 sales has got different percentage of commission. Then 300,000, then maybe 400,000. So that means we can able to make decisions using selection statement. One of the selection statement we are going to use is if-else statements. If-else statement. So this diagram will illustrate how it works. Let's say this is our starting point, and we are saying that we have an input where we are saying that somebody maybe has made sales of 150,000. So that means at each and every point, we have to make a decision. So the first decision, let's say this is our first decision, is a decision to do with 400,000. So it means that if somebody makes 400,000 or more, we do something here. Let's say we do something. Doing something means maybe we can pay commission of 15%. But however, what if we have a person who sells 150? It means that it does not qualify for 15% commission. So it means that we have to go through to another decision. So this decision is jumped because the threshold for 150 does not fit with 400,000. It goes to the next decision where we say the person maybe made sales of 300,000 and above. That is the second decision. So if the person made 300,000, we do something that is maybe, let's say at this point is 12% commission. But however, our threshold 150 does not fit there. So let's go to the next decision to say if somebody has made 200,000 or more. If it is true, then we do something. Let's say at this point it's 10%. But however, you could see that the threshold doesn't mean there. We get to the point based on this, because this selection statement can go over and over based on decision we want to make. But in this case, we are making decision based on 4 areas. That is 400,000, 300, 200, and 100 or less. So that means if a person makes 100,000 or more, it might mean that we need another selection statement to say that these are 100,000 or more. Then maybe we say 70. Let's say we then say F7.5. But however, if we are saying that we are just going to say anyone who makes sales less than 200,000, which includes 100,000 and 150,000, we can do something here that is else, where we are saying, let's say these people will be paid 7.5%. So that means this is the decision construct that we can use in programming. So let's go to the question. I hope you have 4.3, the activity 4.3 downloaded. So we have this spreadsheet and we want to make decisions on text based on the income someone earns. So first of all, before you start writing the code, you need to analyze this so that you can able to understand as well as the question. From this point, you can see here that the question, I hope we have read it. You can also try to analyze the outputs that a program gives, because every program has got an input, then processes and output. So here it says, if somebody is earning 550,000, the salary is between this amount and this amount based on test table I shown you previously, and the best test is this, then 30% of the amount above this. So here, if the tax is calculated for 550,000, it will give us 137,830 before considering rebates. But if we are to consider rebate, this person finally will earn or will pay a tax of 121,405, this figure. That's what it ends. So we want to make a program that can able to calculate tax. So in this instance, this program inputs from keyboard. Therefore, we need to create variables because there are a lot of things that we need to do. We need to create a variable that can hold these values, variables that can also hold the best values, variables that can hold percentage values, variable that can hold rebates, variables that can hold age. So to start our program, we go under developer, then macro, then we're going to give our macro a name. So in this case, I will just say calc text. That's our macro. Then we create. Once we create, this is the window that comes in. Then first of all, we need to create variables. So I'm going to start with age, dim age. This is going to be an integer. Then dim, we want a variable that can able to hold the taxable amount. That is the amount that the user will enter. So this amount, we declare it as double because it's those are amounts that have got a decimal place. Then we also we need a variable dim text bracket that holds values in text brackets. So we are going to declare them as double. We also need a variable that holds amount for base. So I'm going to put the variable here. We also need a variable to hold percent. So I'm going to put it here for easy. And we also need a variable that holds the final text we calculate. Final text, it's going to be as well as double. Then we also need amounts that we need for rebates. But remember, our rebates, they are coming in different categories. For example, we have a primary rebate, secondary rebate, and tertiary rebate. So we might need variables that hold these separate values because the tax is calculated based on an age of person. This paragraph explains it, that to say everyone can claim primary rebate of 16,425. If the age is 65 years, you can claim additional rebate of 9,000, which means that it's going to be 16,425 plus 9,000. So it means you need to claim this and this if you are 65 and above, but less than 75. If you are 75 and above, you need to claim this primary rebate, secondary rebate, and tertiary rebate. So you claim all. So it means we need to create variables, 3 variables for rebates. Then we have to come here where we are going to say we have rebate 1, rebate 2, rebate 3. For the rebate 1, let's say primary rebate, secondary rebate, rebate 2, rebate 3, tertiary rebate. Then we also create a variable for the final rebate. Then we create this all as double since this amount will contain value. We also need to create a variable for our worksheet. So dim a text table as worksheet. Remember, there's difference between worksheet and the workbook. Then after that, first thing, because we are working with a worksheet, we need to declare or to set our worksheet, not to declare, but to set it. So I will then say set a text table, then is equals to, these are sheets. Then we are going to use text table because that's our sheet. We have set it. In this case, I mean, here, this is the worksheet we are working on. So we need to use this worksheet. Remember, we are creating a program that can be reusable. That's the reason why we are declaring this sheet, so that if there is any other successive sheets comes, we can always change the sheet. Let's say this is text table for 2023, there's text table 2024, 2025. We'll be adding these text table here with different sheet names. Then we come here, it should be correct spelling. You have to make sure that the spellings are correct, especially if you are referencing something. You can see here it's text tables. So we have to have text tables like this. Now, after that, we need now inputs. As I say, every program can have inputs. So our inputs are 2. We have age. So I'm going to start with age is equals to, we are going to say input box. We are going to use input box for entering age. Then we need a message to show the user what should be done. Enter your age in years. Then after that, we done with age. Then we go to the next. We need an input of taxable amount. That's the money a person can earn. Taxable amount is equals to input box, enter your annual salary. Then we close. So after that, we then need to make decisions. But however, before we make decisions, we need to allocate rebates. Remember, these rebates are stated here. So we need these values. So you can see that this is C12, C13, C14. So rebate 1 is in C12, rebate 2, C13, C14. We go to our package. Then again, say rebate 1 is equals to, then our text table, that is the sheet. We are going to use text table. Then dot range. Then we open bracket. In this case, it's C12. That is rebate 1. Then we say C12. We close the range. But we need a value. So we then need to put a period and say dot value. So this is rebate 1. What we do is we just copy this code, then Control V to paste. So we have rebate 2, then we have rebate 3. Then here we have C12, C13, and here C14. Then done. Then we go to the next. Now we need to use a selection statement of if, so that we can able to say if someone have an age of greater than or equal to 75, can claim all rebates. So we are going to say if age if age is greater than or equal to, then we then say text table in this case, we need a range from our text table, right? So in this instance, the range we are going to use is this, because you are saying if someone is greater than this age, so we need to reference this part. Then we come here, if text table, then dot range, then we open it's in B14. Then we close, then we say dot value, which means if age is greater than or equal to the value in that cell, we then say, then what should happen? We are going to say final rebate, the variable we declare there. Final rebate is equals to rebate 1, right? I then copy it. Then I say rebate 1 plus paste rebate 2 plus paste rebate 3. That is if someone is greater than 75 years. Then we also need to make a decision, else if somebody now is 65. So the cell where we can get 65, it's range B13 because it's above B14. So we then say B13, then dot value. We then say, then what happens? We are going to copy this code. Then we paste it, but I remove rebate 3. We don't want it because the one with 65 years and above and is going to claim only for rebate 1 and rebate 2. Then in this case, we no longer need to put an if else, we just put an else statement where we are saying, I copy again this statement, then I paste it here, then we claim only rebate 1. Then after that, we end this selection statement by end if. So for age is taken about. So we now able to know the rebates. Now, the next thing is to determine the text rate. So we need to use a for loop to determine the text. Here it is. We need to loop through these values. But however, we are going to loop it in such a way that we start with a greater value to the lesser, so that we start to say if someone ends this amount or above, he is going to be charged this tax and his base is this. And if somebody ends from this, he's going to be charged this tax and the base amount is this, so forth and so forth until we get to here. So we can use a loop to look at this value through, rather than to write a single code for this, a code for this, a code for this, a code for this, a code for this. So we can use loops. Then I'm going to use for loop. I can say for, then I can use a variable called my count. My count is equals to 9 to 3. You can see we are doing it in reverse. We are not counting like in ascending order, but descending to say 9 to 3. So when you do this, you need to make another statement where we are saying, as we go from 9 to 3, our step is at -1. That's how you do when you are doing a for loop, which counts in descending order. Then we then say text bracket is equals to text table dot range. Then after that, we say B. But in this case, we need to look at the values as it changed. So we are going to say B, then we say my count, because my count will be changing from 9 to 8 dot value. So it means that when my count is 9, it's going to be B9 here, the value at B9. And when my count changes to 8, it goes again to B8, B7, up to B3. Then the next statement after that, we are going to use an if statement where we are saying if taxable amount is greater than or equal to tax bracket, because our tax bracket is here. We then say then what happens? We are going to say base is equals to tax table dot range. Then we open our range in base are in column D. So we are going to use D. Then we concatenate with my count, because they go with the same level, my count. Then we say dot value. Then after that, we also need to determine percent. Percent is equals to tax table dot range. We open, we then say E. Then we say and my count. Then after that, oh sorry, my count. Then after that, dot value. Then, so that means we only have one if statement. And if this statement becomes true, the moment it becomes true, we need to stop this loop from going on, because it's no longer necessary for loop to continue counting since it finds its true value. So we then put a statement to exit this loop, say exit for. Then each and every if statement should be ended with and if. Then a looping should then end with a next statement. We can say next my counts. Right. Then after that, we then need to determine the final text. So we're going to say final text is equals to base plus, then we say taxable amount minus tax bracket. Then we then say times percent minus final rebate. So that's the formula is explained in the question. Then after that, we need to display this text. So we're going to say message box. Our message box, we are going to put this. Then you then say your total text for the year is, then I put a rand sign, then I do this with a concatenation, then I say final text, right? Then we close. Then after that means that we are done with our code. Then we save. You can see the message that comes. This spreadsheet is not saved as a macro enabled. So I'm going to save this as a macro enabled. And in this instance, I'm going to save it on my desktop. Then I change here to macro enabled. Then I say save. Then after saving, we need to test this code, this procedure. We go to our spreadsheet. We create a button. This is the button. We create it. Then after create, we link it with calc text. Say okay. If we want, we can rename, edit text. Then we say calculate text. Then that's it. Then I click on it. You can see enter your age, 45. Then enter your annual salary, 550. You can see here, your total text for the year is 121,404.64. Same applies as what we are shown here. It's only that here it rounds off. So this procedure is correct. Then we go to the next 4.5. 4.5, we're told that your friend is attempting to make use of select case structure to do what we were doing. But in this case, we are no longer using if, but we are using select case structure. So the select case works the same as if statement. So this is what were the effects about it, that we need to identify what the error message that the VBA gives when executing the code. What do you think is wrong with your friend VBA code? In other words, why is the above error generated when the code is executed? Provide your friend with advice to correct this. You do not need to rewrite the code. So it means we do not need to rewrite the code. So we cannot use our code in 4.4. We will rather correct the code we were given. So let's go to the spreadsheet with that. This is it. Let me also close the 4.41 so that we left with only one spreadsheet. Yeah, this is it. Enable editing. The first thing I'm going to do is to start by clicking this button. Okay, it gives me the error of saying I should enable the content. Enable content because it's a macro. There's a macro. Then I click again. Then enter your salary. I'm going to enter the salary 550. Then I say, okay, here is the error. So what I will do is I open Microsoft Word document so that I can document this, because they ask, what is this error? Here it is. Then I go to snipping tool. I need a snipping tool. So I'm opening a snipping tool here so that I can copy this box. So I copy, I go under edit, copy, then I come to this, then I say paste. So that I record, so that I show my friend that this is the error that comes in. It means expression too complex, right? I think this too complex expression is caused by, in this case, I will need to go to the code. Then I don't click end, but I'll rather click debug. So here, this is where it says this expression is too complex. So if I have to refer, you can see the case, my salary. It means that this is my salary. So if I want to evaluate my salary, I evaluate it comparing it with the range, this range. In this case, this range, it's B9. I come to this point. This is where we have the range, B9. So our B9. So we are evaluating this range, B9. So there's something wrong. It is not picking up this figure. So what I could do is I will try to debug by creating variables for holding this. So in this case, I'm going to say dim, then I'll say a variable 1 s double. I then declare it, right? Fine. So instead, I'll then use variable 1. I want to copy this range so that I assign it to variable 1. Variable 1 is equals to that range. Then instead of having that range, I copy variable 1 here. Then I replace this. So I'm going to state, so I then say save. So I'm going to test again. I go to the package. Then I click calc text 550. Again, there is an error. I go again to debug. You can see now that at this point, it was pointing an error on this line, but it's fixed. So it's pointing at this. So it means that we need to replace all this. So in this case, I'm going to create how many variables this becomes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to create 6 of this. So we have already have 1. Then I'm going to say 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then, okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy and paste like this. So that becomes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then I change this to 2, to 3, to 4, to 5, then to 6. However, you can see it's B9, so it's from B9 here. Then you've got to go to B8, B7, B6, B5, B4, B3, like that. Now, I'm going to say, but you can see here also that the things are not going with, it says C8, and in this C8, so it uses the values in C. So as we do not want to use these values, we want to use the values in B so that it matches there. So we are going to change and uses the values in B so that it's easier to look at it so that it doesn't jump in. But otherwise it looks like it's correct. So the first thing I'm going to do is just to replace. So I copy this. I go here, I replace this because it's B8. Oh, sorry, before I replace, I need to say B8M, B7, B6, B5, and here B4. Then after that, we then start changing the variable names. So where there's B8, I change it to variable 2. Here I change it to variable 3. Here I change it to variable 4. Here I change it to variable 5. Here I change to variable 6. Then there is an else case like that. Let's just see it's worked out. Save. Then I go to my spreadsheet. Then I calculate X 550. Okay. How old are you? Then I enter. It works, but however, look at this answer. I don't think this is the correct answer for text. So it's another error we are finding there. So I have to copy this error. Then I create a document. Then, right, you see it's giving us minus 16,425, which is the value of the primary rebate. That is being the value being recognized here. So which means there is a problem with this function, because it's not giving us correct value. But however, from analysis, you can see that here, the code runs very well up to here. So it means that there is a logical error, because when a code runs but still produces error in output, it means that it's a logic. So let's look at the logic part, especially here on the case, because that's where the values are not coming in correct here. If you see here, it says my text is equals to my salary minus range minus times this range times the value, which is correct, because this is the range which points at the value, and my salary is the salary, and this is the range. But if we are going to second, you can see that rebate is assigned to text. So this is wrong. So I have to delete these rebates. I hope you are noticing these corrections, and you are recording these corrections so that you can answer the questions in the forum. So I delete this. So it should start with my text. So in this instance, I'm going to save this. Then let me go and run again. Calculate 550. Then I say, okay, then 45. Okay. You can see now it produced the output 135,805. In this instance, remember the text tables have changed. If you change the text table for 4.4 and these ones, they are different. So these ones can produce these values. If you check, you can do your own manual calculations. You can find out that 550,000 will produce a final text of this. So for now, we have to end this lecture. If you have questions, you can post in group. I will then respond.